Welcome to the AI for Interior Designers podcast, where creativity meets cutting edge technology. In each episode, we dive deep into the world of artificial intelligence and explore how it's revolutionizing the interior design industry. From AI-powered design tools to the latest trends and innovations, we've got you covered. So plug in, relax, and let's embark on this exciting journey together. Welcome to AI for Interior Designers podcast. P.S. This intro was written by and voiced by AI to sound like your host, Jenna Gaidusek. Hey guys, it's your host, Jenna Gaidusek, and I am coming to you from a really different location this week. I am at the Design Immersion Retreat in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I have a live guest with me today, literally right next to me, which never happens. I have Lezlie Swink of Swink Social, another person that's speaking at this conference with me and brilliant at what she does. So I figured I would ask her to come on and talk about how she utilizes AI. So hey, how are you?
Good. I'm so good.
So today we are going to talk a little bit about ideal clients and defining the ideal client and where AI can come into play for interior designers with this process. So Lezlie, if you want to get started with just kind of the questions that designers should be considering, and then kind of maybe dive a little bit into how you've been using AI.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I think one of the big things that I see happening is that designers will get on and they just talk about their designs, and they're not making it super relevant for ideal client or just a target audience in general. So defining that ideal client and knowing exactly who that person is, how they tick, what keeps them up at night, what do they aspire their life to be like, what's their lifestyle like. It's really important to know that, to really, really feel to reach them. So if you've ever come across, maybe it was an ad or maybe it was a social media post and you're reading it and you're thinking, gosh, they're in my brain. It's because they really understand who their ideal client is. And guess what? If you felt that way, it was you. So anyway, that is one of the most important things that anybody needs to have. And this isn't just for social media marketing. This is your basic marketing. This is marketing 101. But a lot of people skip it. So one of the things that, we do is we need to ask the questions. What we're going to ask them to fill out an ideal client avatar if they've never done it before. You saw it. There's a huge list. It's a huge list. And it is intimidating at first if you've never done it. But we really need to get down to the basics. And what we want to know is, who is this person? How old is this person? Where does this person live? What does this person's life look like? What is, how do they enjoy spending their time? And then what are their struggles? What are their pain points? What are their aspirations? What do they want their life to look like? And then really kind of coming in and finding, taking those pain points and those aspirations and where that intersects with your messaging and your services is where you're really going to kind of make that connection with them. So yeah, that is one of the ways that we, identify an ideal client. If we're just doing paper to pencil kind of thing. But what's been great is now that we have AI, it can take it further. So it can't define it for you. You have to know, the basics about the person, but it can really kind of take what you have and really just take it from this top level and just expand it. So you can better articulate it and speak to them and really speak their language. So
okay, yeah, that's great. So we were just doing some work together outside on the patio, and really kind of creating a custom GPT that does this, helps designers to define this because it can feel daunting. So I know I've been teaching and mentoring now since 2018. And one of the first things that I have people do is the ideal client worksheet that I provide them with, which we didn't talk about, but now you know. Yeah. So I have had designers kind of fill it out and say who is this person? Let's flesh out this person. For me, my ideal client is me. I can relate to where I am in my point of my life. I find that that's just the type of client that I typically attract. female business owners. Like I know them, I'm inside of their mind. So that's easy for me. But then getting more details to be able to speak to their pain points, because we might be the same age, we might be the same place, but I'm a designer and they're not. So I don't know what their pain points are. So we've been working on creating basically this onboarding process for designers to be able to flesh out who their ideal client is by asking qualifying questions, a lot of the ones that you just went over. And then, like, what do you do once you know who that person is to speak to them online? So you had some great like hooks that you were talking about. So do you want to talk about a couple of those?
Yeah. So, when it comes to knowing your ideal client, like I just said, like that's marketing 101, you've got to know that. That's part of your messaging. Messaging doesn't change, right? I mean, very rarely, unless again, it might change, but it's going to be years down the road as your business is changing and as you're growing and you're evolving. Then yes, that ideal client probably is going to do that as well. But for the most part, it's going to remain the same. What changes, what makes social media so much fun or so much stressful, however you want to look at it, is the way that we're getting that message out there. And so, right now, what we're seeing that is working, especially when it comes to reels, things like that, are really that kind of like relatable. So it's being able to take what what AI is giving us and putting it in a format that's working on social media right now.
Okay.
So that I think is where, because I mean, it's one thing to have information, but you have to know how to use the information. So that's where, you called it work. I called it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We were trying to figure out how to bring those two together, with using AI to make it so simple.
So you also talked about the forms of content that designers could potentially be using. So do you want to list what those are?
Like the types of
content?
Yeah. So, and again, this goes back to basic marketing. There's three main types, and then there's two that I call the sprinkles on top. But the three main types of content that any business owner is going to be sharing is going to be, again, that value added content. So this is going to be maybe, I don't want to use tips. We can kind of sidebar that.
Okay.
We've already talked about that. But this is where you're going to educate people. And right now it's more important to educate on how you do things, not just five, what am I? I'm now
ways to style a bed.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
It's been done.
ways we style our clients' bed, or 5 of our favorite ways to style beds, or whatever it might be. But so it needs to take that focus off just like a generic, like, look, my rule of thumb, if you can Google it, then it's not good.
Oh,
all
I
right.
like that. Yeah.
You've got to be able to bring your personality, your spin, your take on the subject. So, just kind of use that. If you can Google it, then it's not good content. So anyway, number one is that value added. Number two is what we call like the personal brand. And this is taking people behind the scenes. Yes, people love to look at, beautiful designs, but what really gets them to make connections is when they feel like they are part of the process, when they can see it happen. So number one, that's going to connect them with the brand and the people, not just the brand, but the people behind it. And then it becomes, kind of helps. What we were talking about earlier? It really helps attract the right person, and then not the right person.
Right.
We're not for everybody.
Yep.
So anyway, that's really important from that standpoint, is that personal brand behind the scenes, how you work, those kind of things. And then that third one is going to be, obviously like your promotional. So this is going to be those beautiful pictures. These are going to be like those really fun before and afters, like showing that transformation, again, showing that process of like from start to finish, testimonials, things like that. And then what I call the sprinkles on top are going to be like those inspirational, funny, ones. And you know what, that's, it might not move your business forward, but it's going to get people to relate to you and be like, I like this account. Yeah. Funny. Or man, they make me feel good whenever I see their stuff. So, so anyway, those are the types of, and also all of these types meet your people where they are in their customer journey. Okay. So if they've just discovered you, you're going to really build that relationship and establish yourself as a knowledge expert by giving that valuable information. You're building trust at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You know, same thing when you go take them behind the scenes. They're going to feel again more connected, and that's part of that nurturing. And then promotional, you're showing them what you can do. So this is, you know, that's where they're going to be like, all right, we like them.
Mm-hmm.
We see what their process looks like. They do good work.
Mm-hmm.
I'm filling out it, you know, I'm going to fill out the inquiry form now. So, so that's how we approach the content that we, you know, in our strategy. That's how we approach it and why we approach it that
Okay. So I'm going to circle back to the second option, where you're talking about like being really relatable and, you know, showing up and like showing your sense of humor or personal style or just like little anecdotes. And I'm seeing a lot of like big brands trying to do this lately, or like, you know, CEOs of these big brands like like starting to show their face and like really be more involved. And I relate to them as a consumer way more than I do like if you're showing me a sofa, I don't care. Like I can see that in your catalog. Like,
way. Right.
you know, I want to see that owner or like the sales team or somebody sitting on that sofa and talking about it and being like fun with it. You know, all these little small businesses too, like designers that have shops, they're fun. Like they're creating fun content.
Yeah.
And I think that's bringing people in the door. Like I know I would go and
Yeah.
I would shop there.
Yeah. And I always say people connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to connect with the sofa.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know? It can be really cool and be really pretty and really comfortable, but you're not going to have like a personal connection with it.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a personal connection with an actual person. So, you know, it's so important. And I think it's also one of the most underutilized strategies, and designers especially.
Mm-hmm.
And because you do have really, really great projects that you're wanting to put out there, but then you totally neglect the personal connection part.
Mm-hmm.
And design is very personal. Like you're working very closely. Designers work very closely with their clients. They're letting them into their homes. They're making, you know, letting them make decisions that are going to be, you know, a very big investment and that they're going to have to live with for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know your design.
Yep. And for all the people that are saying, you know, AI could potentially take our jobs, they can't take you as a person, right? Like that is the one thing that they will never take, that AI will never replace, is you. So like, I find that this has been like never more as important as it is right now to like show your face, you know. And for me, I know like it took years for me to show my face on Instagram. Like I had 2 babies, was not feeling good about myself. And so I kind of like started working out. My friend Claire Jefford was like, Jenna, you just got to do it. Like you got to show your face. You got to. So I was showing like B-roll of me like sitting and working and doing that. And then it slowly started to get easier. But I would say like having that face-to-face connection has grown my business exponentially on social media, because people, I mean, we're at this retreat and people are coming up to me being like, I followed you for years and you give such great tips. And I mean, that feels so good, but also like, I'm just sitting in my office creating these videos and I don't even know who's watching them until I come out into the real world. And they're like, oh, I've been following you. I'm like, wow, like, thank you.
Yes.
But it makes a difference because like they feel like they've known me. And I think same for clients too. Right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I'll tell you, one of the best compliments I think that I can ever get is when I get on an actual call with somebody and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so good to like, I feel like I already know you.
Yeah.
I'm like, good.
Yep.
Good.
That's how it should be. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be a super long thing today, guys. Like I know we're busy. You guys are busy. But if there are like, how do you touch on some pain points when it comes to creating hooks and reels and things like that? Like, how are you addressing those, I guess, is my question.
Like, how do I come up with them?
Yeah.
So it's, well, it's really funny because last night I was sitting outside on the patio and scrolling, and really it's just inspiration. So, and it's funny because I will find it not from anything that comes from a designer's account. I'm looking at what other people are doing, what other industries are doing, and what are they, and it's about just reframing, right? I mean, you can take kind of like that idea and that thought and then reframe it from like, okay, well, how would a designer use this? What would their ICA, what do they need to hear? So it's again, just really looking for that inspiration. Like if I like it, I'm like, oh, I like that. That's good. Then I'm like, okay, how can I use this? Or how can I help designers use this? So yeah, that's really it. It's just a lot of scrolling.
Yeah. That's so funny. People are always like, you must read a lot. I'm like, no, I scroll a lot. That's how I learn everything.
Yeah.
So what are maybe, and I'm going to put you on the spot here because we did not talk about or rehearse any of this information, but it should just, I'm assuming, come natural to you. So what are 3 things that designers should, with all these changes happening on Instagram right now, what are things that designers could be doing to try to engage a little bit more and maybe step a little bit outside of their comfort zone?
Yeah. So I think number one, I will tell you, if you're a designer and you have not had a personal brand photo shoot, find your photographer, go get it done now.
Yes.
Number one, you're going to have gorgeous images and you're going to be able to show up for your people, right? Number two, it is really empowering. Like
Yes.
you feel like, wow, like so good after it. And you can't wait to share those images. And it just really kind of, I don't know, fans the flame a little bit and the passion that you have for your business. So really showing your face. And I get like, you know, like Jenna said, it's not easy to show up on video and camera. And I'm the same way. I was totally the same way. But if you, and I would never be like, you just have to get on camera.
Right.
I mean, I get that that's not a
When you're
realistic
ready.
thing. So start with that branded photo shoot.
Yeah.
Start interjecting more of your personality. Don't rely strictly on, well, my brand voice is this. Well, let me tell you, if your brand voice and your voice are really disconnected, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Because I mean, think about it. Like if a client is reading all of your content and they're thinking they're going to get this, and then you walk into a consultation or you know, a discovery call or whatever, and they're getting this, that's immediate like red flags.
Yeah.
The trust is gone.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that, you know, that that brand voice and your voice are not majorly disconnected. There needs to be they need to come together nicely. And it needs to show in that content. And don't be afraid to talk about yourself.
That's hard.
Yeah. But you can't, you don't be afraid to do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, it makes a difference. Like, because when I'm looking for certain professionals that I want to hire, like these are things that I would probably want to look for in social media. So kind of think about that. You know, the places that you've recently maybe registered for a membership or signed up for a product, like what did they do to capture your attention and how can you replicate that in your own business?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you know, marketing, like there's not any like earth shattering brand new ways of doing things. Like it's always kind of goes back to the very basics. And then it's just kind of like tweaking it in a way that's going to and get people's attention. And it's all about building trust. That's really what it is all about, is just building that trust so that they can take the next step and go to your website and, you know, fill out that contact form, send you a DM, you know, those kind of things.
Yep. So I guess we didn't really talk about AI too much, but how have you been using it to build out these avatars, or have you?
No, for sure. Yes. Well, I mean, the first thing that we do is whenever we take on a new client, and we do use AI, I will say that we don't, we did talk about this, like it's probably about 50-50. Okay. 50% of it is going to be AI has helped with, and we're going to come in with the other 50%. Like we never take it. It's not that good yet. It's not that good where it can just give you, you know, some copy or whatever it is that you asked for. And you're like, I can run with this. It's typically not. But the first thing that we do is we start and we make sure that it understands the brand. Like that's really, really important. So we have a prompt that we put in, and we'll share it with you. It's a free download, so we can probably put it in the notes. The show notes. But and again, this is where AI is not going to be able to help you guys. Like you have to know your brand. Like you really have to have a good understanding of it. And you put that in so that it has that good understanding. Now, you also put in the ICA information during this brand prompt, but it's going to get the idea, and then basically it's going to help you whenever you ask it in the future, say, give me some content ideas or give me some prompts that would appeal to my ideal client, those kind of things. So that's how we're kind of coming up with it. Every once in a while, we'll say, hey, I need you to write a social media post for this topic. Please use our brand voice. It should include point A, point B, point C, whatever it is. So sometimes we'll get that and it's like, okay, it's a good starting point. We'll go in, we'll make the changes that we need to. Sometimes if I'm feeling really stuck, I'm like, just write a post about blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can take that and it's giving me a starting point. So I'm not looking at a blank screen and then I can go in and like, okay, it gives me some direction and I can go in and put, you know, what is applicable to whatever the post is and the client.
Mm-hmm.
So,
okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. We're working on a little something while we're here. You guys know I love my GPTs. So, I'm not going to say exactly what it is right now. You're going to have to go to the show notes and see if it's ready. So if you're listening to this later, hopefully it'll be in there. But thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. And I will put Leslie's information in the show notes. You can tell them what you do.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So I own a social media marketing company, and we specialize in helping interior designers. Our whole mission is to make social media easy, effective, and actually enjoyable. So that might mean we manage your account. If you're ready to be like, I am done, I'm over it, I don't want to do it anymore. We do management, we do strategy, and then we also have a membership. If if maybe you're not at a point where you can outsource or you don't want to outsource, but you still want that direction and you still want that support, that's what the membership is for.
Perfect. That's awesome. All right. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
It's fun.
All right, guys, we're going to go back to our summit now. So I will be back next week and probably talk about ChatGPT 5 as a little teaser that's coming out. I don't know much about it yet. There's not much out there, but there's some interesting conversations that are being had. So that might be next week. If not, it's coming down the pipeline. So thank you for listening. Again, I'm going to remind you to follow and share with your designer friends because I always forget to do that since we're only on episode 10. So thank you again, Lezlie. Really
Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks for listening to today's episode of the AI for Interior Designers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and tune in next week for more AI tips for your design business. See you next time.